feet long machines. I ordered 3 machines from European country. Till today, in India, no one in diaper industry has ordered any machine from Europe. Everyone goes to China. So that was my commitment to quality. Then you have to understand the consumer also, what they need. In fact, when I started, no one knew what is adult diaper, so I went to a seminar where doctor's seminar was there, so I put up a stall. We displayed the adult diaper, so when the doctors came out of the seminar during tea break or coffee break or lunch break, they all were excited to see the product. They said that we need the product for my patients, for my family members, for myself. So that showed us the need in the society for the product. And from there we started slowly advertising, educating the people what is incontinence. There was no word equivalent in our Indian languages to incontinence. So we had to devise the word, that unwanted wetness. That is how we started communicating. And for last 22 years, we are educating the masses, and for last 22 years, our brand, Friends Adult Diaper, is #1 brand in the country, commanding the best of the quality. This is our recent advertisement. What happened? So by the time they come back, yeah, how the people are confined to their homes when they suffer from incontinence.
चल
तुझे पता है ना मेरा बार बार बाथरूम जाने का प्रॉब्लम है।
पता है मुझे भी था, पर अब नहीं है। ये देख ट्राई पैंट, तू भी पहन ले और चल।
आजादी मुबारक। फ्रेंड्स ट्राई पैंट्स।
So the concept is get your freedom back. Don't remain confined to your house. And how to beat competition. So there I would say that apart from innovation and constructing world-class manufacturing facility, we have got 2 plants, one in Nasik, one in Gujarat, Baroda. We are present on all the price points, and we do conduct consumer research very frequently to understand the need of the consumers, whether it is for baby diaper or for adult diaper. We have got product at every price point. Like if you go to buy a Maruti car or a Mercedes, you will have a top-end car, medium segment, in economy car. Similarly, we have got in diapers the overnight, which can take care of your 24 hours of wetness or urination. We have got premium, we have got classic, we have got entry-level product. At every price point, we have got the product. And the products are available throughout the country, from Srinagar to Kanyakumari, everywhere. In Tamil Nadu also, we are the biggest selling brand for adult diaper and baby diaper. So as I explained you, understanding the consumer, we had conducted the research which showed us that people, we discuss with the real consumer, these are the customers, that they say that I know how my grandchildren will feel when they find that I wet the bed myself, one person said. Other person said, I don't want to live, I want to die because I cannot control my urination. And average time it takes for a person to acknowledge that they are suffering from urinary incontinence is 1 to 1.5 years. People do not want to use the diapers because they feel it is bad, and everyone feels that he is fit, he is not suffering from any problem. Even diabetes also people accept very late when the sugar levels are very high. But once they start using the diaper, the comfort and the freedom which they get, Like if someone has to go in the train or a bus, he will try to take the lower seat, he will try to take the seat near the toilet, or he will not travel at all. People will not go to park with their children. Or in the night time when the old people are there in the house, they have to rush to toilet and they fall down. Then the bone, if the bone is damaged, then at the old age it takes very long time for the healing. So to avoid all that, we started telling people that, okay, you don't want to wear diaper in daytime, wear in the night to avoid such accidents. It is like an insurance. You go to toilet, use the toilet in normal way, but in case something happens, don't rush. Use the adult diaper. So that is how the concept has got. And once the person uses it, they start wearing it. They go out, they feel very comfortable, they feel very secure. So education is a continuous process which we keep on doing even now through various mediums. Understanding the consumer, like a baby diaper, if you see who are our consumers, so we go to them, we understand their need. Many people will not like to buy a very expensive product. Some people will buy only during the night time or while going out. So you should have a product at every price point. We have a single pack, we have a 72 pack, 80 pack also. But in India, as you see in many of the sectors, the people are very innovative. Like a big wholesaler, he will just open a big pack and people will come to him buy one diaper every night or a daytime whenever they are going home. So you have to cater to every price point and every type of consumer. Yes, doctors do not recommend the diaper, lack of awareness, gaps in information, and that is how the continuous education is very important. We are the one who are scaled up production with now 14 lines, manufacturing lines in our 2 plants. So we can afford, India is such a diverse state like Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, north of India, Bihar. So many languages are there. So educating a population in this country takes a lot of money also, which multinationals can do very easily, but for us it is very tight. Understanding again the consumer, what the customer, what are the influencers on the buyers. Like grandmother, she will say, do not use the diaper, put on the cloth, it is a plastic. Perfect mother, mothers who are working, they want something to take care because in the crush, if they put the baby, crush people will not be changing the cloth napkin very often. New mothers, they do not know which size to take, how to take. So these are the challenges which we have to keep on addressing and target every type of customer, how to educate them, when to use the diaper, what sizes they should use, what are the different level of absorbency, why the particular diaper is expensive. So we are the one who make product which solves the consumer issues. Like we have got a overnight variant, we have got a classic and other products, and we use best of the raw material like order lock in the super absorbent. Elastic, we use best of the elastic. One of the famous brand Lycra we use. We have recently launched a very invisible fit diaper, very ultra thin for light leakage. People when they sneeze, they have got the problem that few drops leak. When they are going out, few drops leaks. For such light leakage, you need not spend a big sum for the full sum product. You can buy ultra thin and it will take care of your short leaks. We have got antibacterial, which are gentle on skin, and leak guards. Antibacterial, why the rashes happen? This is a big problem for mothers, that they feel that diapers will give rashes. So diapers give rashes because of the growth of bacteria on the skin of the baby when the urine comes in contact with the bacteria's skin. So if you use the best quality raw material, then the rashes don't happen, and we have antibacterial sap which inhibits the growth of bacteria. So the bacteria do not grow for few certain hours, 8 to 10 hours. So it is safe for the children. In baby diaper, we have 2 brands, Teddy and Snuggie diapers. Snuggie diaper is the oldest brand produced in India from 1986 onwards from Kerala and Tamil Nadu, and we have acquired it from a big multinational few years ago. So Snuggie also we are selling, and our own brand Teddy, which we started in 2000, that is also we are selling. As I told you that how we started the educating.
क्या बात है फाइटर? कई दिनों से दिखाई नहीं दिए।
2003 एडवर्टीजमेंट।
इनकॉन्टिनेंस की समस्या से परेशान हूँ।
कि बाबू मसाई आजकल बिस्तर गिला कर रहे हो?
घबराओ मत, अब इसका इलाज है। फ्रेंड्स एक ऐसा एडल्ट डायपर है जो अनचाहे गीलेपन की समस्या में रखे आपको निश्चित और दे एक आरामदायक जीवन। फ्रेंड्स एडल्ट डायपर्स, डिग्निटी फॉर द एज्ड।
This was the first advertisement released by us in 2003 because there is no word in our national, any of the Indian languages for incontinence. So we had to come out with this word that bistar gila kar rahe ho, unwanted wetness. So when I started selling adult diaper for the first time in 2000, at that time no one knew what is adult diaper. One small quantity I could not sell throughout India. So this was the ad which you are seeing in the newspaper ad, 16th December 2000. We released this small advertisement in the newspaper, first advertisement of adult diaper in India. I have still got that newspaper. That day, you won't believe I received more than 100 telephone calls in my office that we need the product where it is available. From Calcutta, from Chandigarh, from Bangalore, from Chennai, from everywhere. Because the newspaper, along with the Indian Airlines, went everywhere. So that is how we started, and with the help of the newspaper campaign with the Times of India was expanding out of Bombay to Delhi, to Chennai, Bangalore, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, everywhere. So along with that, we kept on educating. They gave us very good rate. We gave the advertisements there and educated the people. Now today it's a big market for adult diaper also. In those days, even a 20-foot container I could not sell for 6 months. This is another. We are very bold in our thinking and our strategy. This is our Rio high absorbency pad, heavy flow pad. We call it heavy flow pad, HF. It has got side leg guards, double wings, and it takes care of very heavy leakage because sanitary napkins are not good enough for the women who are suffering from menopause or extra high leak. And we are the first country in the world to show red color blood on a sanitary napkin ad on television. Before us, everyone was showing blue color gel, blue color blood. We are the first company in the world to show red color. And our advertisement was stopped by the authorities that you cannot show such gross red color and blood and all on television. Children are watching, mothers are watching. So we went for judicial review. We told the judge that you see Netflix today, you see so many OTT channels, people talk such language and they show such things, gross violence. Even if you see Mahabharata and all, the blood is shown, the arrow is shown, and 50% of the population is suffering from this. Why we cannot talk about it? How we will educate the females that what is the problem they are suffering, unless we discuss about it. So the judge allowed us to show the advertisement. We showed the advertisement, and Radhika Apte is the brand ambassador. And after us, the market leaders who are multinationals dominating the globe, they have also started showing red color nowadays. You see any advertisement. So we are not shy of experimenting. We do take bold decisions. Like recently we have launched ultra thin adult diaper for male and female separate. Female for the skin shape and male for the gray color. So these are the decisions which we have taken. Like I told you that we have got diapers for every need. Overnight, daytime, short leaks, everything. Adult diaper. So product differentiation is very important. We have to educate the shopkeeper, we have to educate the customer why he has to buy a particular diaper, and not compare only price. You have to look at the quality and absorbency also. Now, how the industry will be there 10 years later? Penetration of adult diapers in India is only 5%. If you see the population of 65 plus elderly people in China, it is 116 million. India, it is 84 million. United States, 52 million. Japan, 35 million. Russia, 21 million. In Japan, there are 80 companies manufacturing adult diaper. Baby population is going down, adult population is rising. So adult diaper sales are more. In India also, along with the good medical facilities which are available, good purchasing power, young people also want to take good care of their parents and grandparents. So with the 5% penetration in India, there is a long way to go. And market, in our opinion, will keep on growing substantially for next 15 to 20 years. Penetration of baby diapers in India, national average is only 6%. And you see the population, 0 to 5 age. India is the top at 113. China, 61. It has gone down. China adult population is growing now. US also 18 million, but number of usage is more because people use more frequently. So for baby diaper also, with such a big population and such a low level of penetration, we feel that market will continue to grow at 15%, 16% growth every year for the next 15 to 20 years. This is how we expect the industry to grow. I explained you that India is very price sensitive market, but people want quality also. So you just cannot give substandard quality product looking at the cheap price. So price has to be balanced with the quality of the product. And you have to educate the person that if he is buying a cheaper product, it is not expected to last that long. If you want a good product, you can buy our overnight variant which can last for 24 hours. There is no problem. Bad reputation of local manufacturing. That is what I told you, that previously people used to wait for 10 years after booking a car. People used to wait for 10 years after booking a telephone number. Now, that reputation is going away with the Make in India focus of the government. And the businessmen also have come out of the licensed Raj and they are coming out with the good quality manufacturing. So products in India are accepted world over nowadays. When I started the business, I started by importing diapers from Israel. I'm happy to tell you that today, every month I export adult diaper to Israel. So that is how the times have changed. We export to more than 30 countries in the world, to the most advanced countries like UK, USA, Israel, Middle East, entire Middle East. If you go to any of the hospital in Dubai or UAE, anywhere, you will find my brand Friends in the hospital. We sell in our brand. Yeah, baby category, the opportunities in future, which I told you, that increasing female workforce. Just now I heard the minister saying that 40% of the female workforce of all India is in Tamil Nadu. So increasing female workforce, you have to take care of your child. You can use a good quality diaper, not a bad quality diaper. Rise of nuclear family. And diabetics find it very difficult to control urine leakage. So dripping may happen. So incontinence is there. So you have to take care of that. So we have got the light incontinence, ultra thin diaper for that. Incontinence is getting younger. You need not be 65 or 70 to have incontinence. It can happen at 40, 45 also. So we have a product for that. Rising obesity. Chemists are the biggest cheerleaders. Rising acceptance. If you go to Andhra Pradesh and Telangana and all, it is the piles capital of India. So you need some protection. So diapers are there, adult pants. After introducing the pant style diaper, the acceptance among the population has increased. Because open type diaper, it was very difficult for a person to wear it, go to the loo in the airport or the bus stop and again wear it. It was difficult. But pant style diaper is just like normal underwear, good absorbent diaper people are not hesitant to use now. Thank you very much. I finished my presentation with that. Any questions? I am here. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Kamal Johari for delivering an inspiring keynote address that has left us enriched with valuable insights. As we open the floor to questions, we encourage the audience to actively participate in the question and answer session. Your engagement is crucial in making this discussion dynamic and insightful. Any questions from the audience side? You can raise your hands.
I have a question for Mr. Johari. So how do you, it's a very inspiring story, how do you compete against a multinational company with high-tech R&D, production in 120 countries, presence across? Because that is, I think, the inspirational story that we would like to hear.
Hello. Yeah, I am a chartered accountant myself, but before that I did my graduation in science with physics, chemistry and biology. So understanding the science and commerce both is very important. Diaper, it looks like a very simple product, but product which we are selling for less than 10 rupees. It is a highly engineered product manufactured by engineers on a fully automated machines, and most of the raw materials are imported. So understanding the product and consumer needs and manufacturing good quality product and giving to consumer at a price which is lesser than the multinationals, affordable to consumer, is the winning formula. You have to give the good quality at an acceptable price range. Not very high price and spend a lot of money on advertising only. We do very frugal advertising, but try to give a good quality product.
Hello, sir. Excellent presentation. So I would like to know, what are you doing about the plastics pollution that will come invariably with the increased use of diapers, number one. Number two, you mentioned that most of the raw materials are imported. Is there something being done for substitution of those imports in India?
When I started manufacturing at that time, everything I had to import. But today, the pulp and the super absorbent polymer which absorbs liquid in the molecular form, which forms gel, only these two things are imported. All the non-woven and polythene and bags, everything is available in India. Regarding plastic, I must tell you that when we started selling diaper, the adult diaper used to weigh around 135 gram each. Today, we have reduced the thickness of the plastic, gauge of the plastic, and we have brought it down to 85 gram with more absorbency. So that is one way of doing, but there is good news for the human being, that there is good research going on, and we will get non-woven and polythene and everything which will be biodegradable, which will not add to the pollution or microplastic in the atmosphere. As it is, more than 50% weight of the diaper is pulp. It is wood pulp, which is 100% biodegradable. It is not plastic. Plastic is only less than 50%, but that also research is almost successful now. We are about to launch a series very soon, which will be self-destructing plastic. It will go to microbes and they will be able to eat it and regenerate it. So it will not be harmful to the atmosphere.
Is there any recycling of diapers will be happening in the future for sustainability? Recycling of diapers?
Yes, just now I explained that there is a material already invented and we may start using it soon, which will be not creating the microplastic, because nowadays people say that it is biodegradable and all, but that is not biodegradable. That breaks the plastic into microplastic. which goes into river stream in the fishes and the animals and in us also. So there is a research going on by which all these things will be stopped. And very soon we will be coming out with the thing. And pulp as it is biodegradable, other materials are also in the line to become available in next few years.
Hi, sir. Sir, how can you be able to give that Rio pad at 6 rupees per piece, sir? Because MMCs are giving at 14 per pieces. How is it possible you to give?
We are giving less than the MNCs.
Yeah.
And the HF pad, which I said heavy flow pad, it is equivalent to 6 sanitary napkins of any brand. That much it can absorb. It is for a special need like menopause or other heavy flow problems. And sanitary napkin also, normal sanitary napkins, ours is priced much less than multinationals.
Sir, because MNC company will give the price low cost to catch the consumers, no, sir? How you are giving at low cost?
They have to see if they are selling at 14 rupees, then out of that 4 rupees goes into advertising and creating the demand. That's why they are able to sell very high quantity. We are not able to sell, but we reduce the price to that extent to attract the customer and try to give a better quality than what they are giving.
Thank you.
MNCs also, I tell people that they are not God, they have not come from anywhere. They are just like us. We have to keep on applying our thinking and improving the product.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So when you're scaling up production in terms of mass exportation for other countries, will you be scaling up your manufacturing facility in terms of human labor or machine labor? I'm talking in sense of sustainability and employment aspect.
See, there has to be a good balance between two. Just because you have to use human labor, you cannot reduce the machine speed because that will give you less production, consume more power and less production. So you can increase the speed of the machine, you can use the technology, and also you can use human being. Human, you can upskill the knowledge, you can use them for automatic machines. We have trained so many people on the machines. And we have more than 1,000 people working in both the plants in Maharashtra and Gujarat. And there has to be a fine balance. Population has to get the job and a good quality product also.
Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. Thank you, Mr. Kamal Johari. Your insights and contributions were invaluable. We kindly request you to return to your designated seat respectively.
Thank you.
And now let's transition to our esteemed panel discussion. Today, we have the privilege of welcoming 5 eminent leaders, each bringing unique insights into the subsectors of technical textiles and MMF. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to our distinguished panelists. First, I would like to welcome Mr. S.K. Sundararaman, MD, Shiva Texion, and Chairman, Southern India Mills Association, as a moderator of this panel discussion. Please welcome, sir. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Uday K.S., Senior Vice President and Business Head, Polyester Industrial Yarn, Technical Textile Business, SRF. Welcome, sir. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Karthik Kumar Sundarraj, Director, Sevshri Meditex India Private Limited, onto the stage. Welcome, sir. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Raman Datta, Founding Member and General Secretary, Brands and Sourcing Leaders Association, onto the stage. Please welcome, sir. And next, I would like to invite Mr. Sundar Sandalnathan, Head of India Public Affairs, H&M Group, onto the stage. Please welcome, sir. And now, the panel discussion is going to start. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Miss. Friends, good afternoon to all of you. And I see a packed audience. I see a lot of young middle-aged, old faces, nice mix. Great. So thank you very much. And I firstly extend a very warm welcome on my own behalf to all my fellow panelists. We have a wonderful panel over here to talk about technical textiles and man-made fibers. So before I go there, two observations. First, my personal thanks and appreciation to Shri Kamal Johari for this wonderful presentation on diapers. And it underscores the point that technical textiles is often not seemingly textile, right? As we go up the value addition chain, as we try to create new products which are functional, because I think the definition of technical textiles is products that are actually functional, that help in giving a function than just looking nice. So by giving that function, or by that definition, often we find that technical textile products are pushing the edge of what is considered as textiles. And an excellent example of that was what our keynote speaker presented. So I appreciate Kamalji for actually explaining how a diaper and how a hygiene industry is also part of technical textiles, and how India's future can be global, can be competitive against the best in the world. And I think that was a great start to this panel as such. The panel is about technical textiles and man-made fibers, because a corollary to technical textiles and an equally important and exciting business for many of us in textiles is man-made textiles. So with me here today, I think we have an equal balance. So on my left-hand side, a gentleman from the technical textile industry. So I have Mr. Uday, who is from SRF. He heads the technical textiles, the coated fabrics, the belted fabrics, and all the specialty of technical textiles of SRF, one of the very large MNCs based out of India. And they have been a very old hand in having facilities in Tamil Nadu as well. I have a young Tamil Nadu entrepreneur in technical textiles, Mr. Karthik Sundaraj, who comes from a PPE and healthcare products manufacturing background. Who runs a company called Shiv Shri MedTech. On my right-hand side, two stalwarts of the global garment industry. I have with me Mr. Sundar Senthilnathan, who is the head of corporate affairs and sustainability of H&M, one of the most well-known brands in clothing. And we thought who better than them to actually talk about how MMF, man-made fibers, synthetics, performance apparel, how the world is changing. And then over there, a very, very interesting gentleman, Mr. Raman Datta, my friend, who is the founder, Secretary General of BSL, Brands and Sourcing Leaders, who they are the largest conglomeration or group of brands, global brands. So he literally connects to global brands in the apparel and related value chains across the world. And he sort of, it's a consortium of all of them coming together to source out of India, to sell into India and all that. So there's probably no better person placed than these two gentlemen to talk about the future of the man-made fiber industry. So that's our panel today. And so let me start off with a question for, let me start with the MMF industry. So let me start off with a question for Mr. Raman Datta that, Ramanji, while India is looked at to many brands and has been a supplier for many brands for decades in the cotton textile industry, today the world, while cotton is important, we are having a lot of interest in man-made, in synthetics, in athleisure wear, in swimsuits, in all those products. Do brands see India as a natural place to come here? If not, what are the challenges that you see that they are facing right now?
Thank you, Dr. Sundaraman. First, just to give you a little brief about BSL, we are a consortium of most of the international brands who've got a presence in India, and also the domestic brands who are growing with the aspiration of becoming global. Technical textiles, man-made fiber, this is one of the major subjects which BSL is working on. And on the lines of the government, we have a subject called MMF 10X, which we are working very strongly. Global demand of cotton has not grown so much as compared to technical textiles, because the performance what you get on technical textiles, you don't get it on cotton. And global demand is also an aspiration for these brands to come and buy from India. Now, challenge is supply chain is still not ready. We are still, way far behind with the global competitors we have, like Bangladesh, China, Vietnam, Taiwan. The speed they are working. But in last couple of months, we've seen a very, very strong aspiration from entrepreneurs, from MSMEs, from government to work on this particular subject, and BSL is partnering with them in terms of ideation, knowledge, and hand-holding in the global demand of the categories like swimwear or an outerwear or any kind of a performance which is required on a technical part. Yeah.
Thank you, Vamanji. So I'll come back to you to further explore what BSL offers and again your views on this industry. But let me now ask a question to my other panelist, Mr. Sundar Senthilnathan. Sundarji, H&M is a name known to us. I think I would think at least 50% of the people in this room would use one H&M garment or the other. Let me first of all start with sustainability and then we will go to MMF. I would like to hear the views of the brand. What is the brand thinking about sustainability? There are many suppliers from the textile industry over here as well. So we would like to know the brand's perspective of what do you think as sustainability? What is the next 10-year roadmap for sustainability for one of the largest brands in the world?
Thank you, Dr. Sundaraman, for having us. Thanks for organizing this guidance bureau. I think let's sort of unpack sustainability a bit. Sustainability comes from if we see the deeper parts of the iceberg, then it emanates from values. The value of a company would determine the path of sustainability. Otherwise, it becomes a sideshow. So the sustainability emanates from inherent values of a company. That is one. Number two, I think sustainability is also good for business. It's long-term de-risking. It's cost-efficient. Your operating margins improve. Just to give you a very simple example, the more energy efficient you become, the lesser the energy consumption. The more the renewable energy adoption, the lesser the cost of tariff that you pay for power. So it's very basics mathematics that works in favor. Thirdly, sustainability now is an expectation of customers. And this is across the spectrum. I mean, it's not just with European or Western customers, but even Indian customers. In Asia Pacific, all customers across regions are demanding brands to be more sustainable. And I'll give you a simple example outside the apparel industry. We all have been bursting crackers, for Diwali for, how many years now. Now, if you look at the cracker boxes these days, very prominently written, no child labor involved. This wasn't the case when I was bursting crackers when I was a child, right? So there is that expectation of customers that, okay, are these brands socially responsible, environmentally conscious, etc. Fourthly, sustainability is now an expectation of regulations. Be it Indian regulations or be it the laws that are getting passed in the European Union, the brands have no choice now but to adhere to those regulations passed by countries in the European Union itself, countries within Europe, the United States, and even in India. I mean, some of the regulations that we have are as strict as what you find in Western countries. So that's where sustainability has a sort of broader dimension, right from values to your being good for business, from a regulatory perspective, and not the least from a customer's perspective. And in terms of roadmap, so when you ask for a roadmap over the next 10 years, and it's not just about H&M, but many other brands as well, which have ambitions to contribute towards mitigation of climate change. That's a responsibility of every business across sectors, right? So that is definitely a roadmap. For example, if we take H&M itself, we have ambition to cut emissions by 56%. I mentioned the word precise number 56% because this is based on science-based calculations that are approved by international organizations. Then the next step is to go towards net zero by 2040. And linked to that is how do you transform your business to become more and more circular. be it in your operations or be it in your product making. So I'll just pause for now, then I'll just go on and on.
No, I guess I've sort of kicked off a topic which I know you can go on for hours at the thing, but I think the whole point is it's great to know that brands are thinking about sustainability in the world, making sure that the world continues to be an inhabitable and a good place to be, though our consumption of, in general, goes up, not just garments. And I will sort of just highlight the thought, what you said, that sustainability is good for business. Right? That's very comforting, because I guess that's also what brands want to actually hear about. So let me leave you at this point with that, and then we'll come back into MMF very soon. So let me just move on to technical textiles, hardcore technical textiles. So Udayji, I'll probably start with you and then go to the young gentleman over there. So can you tell us something about SRF? Because SRF is one of the oldest technical textiles manufacturing plant in India, in particular in Tamil Nadu. And you do real hardcore technical textiles. You do nylon, tire beltings and all that. So I'm sure the audience would like to know what Indian companies are actually manufacturing other than conventional clothing. And from there, I would like to then go on into your perspective of where we are as a country today in technical textiles, please.
Thank you, Dr. Sundararaman, and also thank you to the Tea and Guidance Bureau. Good afternoon, everyone. SRF is I think 2024 is our 50 golden year now. So 50 years of existence in Tamil Nadu. Thank you. So we started with the 1974 small tire cord facility. I think pioneered the tire cord facility then only in nylon 6, which primarily went to bias tires, which is heavy truck tires or bus tires. And then we started even the conveyor belt facility in the Trichy, where actually it's nothing but nylon and polyester going into reinforcement, and then rubberization, which is used for conveying materials in coal, cement, and steel sectors. Soon after that, we also diverged to industrial yarn business, both in case of polyester industrial yarn and nylon. Primarily, initially aimed at fishnet and other twine and sewing thread, but we, with the focus, because as you grow, it is important that you also invest in R&D. So we actually created a R&D facility in Manali, state of the art, which has got single cord dipping, which has got even pilot spinning machines and twisting and weaving machines. That's how we evolved, and because when you supply to the global majors, you need that backdrop of R&D and innovation. That is a key to actually existence. So we are the only one currently supplying seat belt, zero broken filament seat belt yarn to the global majors in India. And we are also developed a geotextile, high molecular weight, and the low EBR, low elongation at drake yarns. And these are being used in all the infrastructure development where drainage, embankments, and road infrastructure. That is in the geotextile segment. So we now currently, in case of nylon 6, we are globally number 5. And nylon 6.6, which goes to the passenger car radials as a cap ply, we are having a sizable domestic leadership. In case of polyester tire cord, we are the first one to produce in 2009 polyester HML side-mountless close shrinkage, which goes to the passenger vehicles. Then conveyor belt, we are globally number 2. By the calendar year end, we will be number 1. Now, looking at the onset of textile or the perspective of technical textile business. See, today, having identified 12 of the segments, we are into industrial textiles, geotextiles, and mobile tech, which primarily into automotive tires and reinforcement, and in conveyor belt, mechanical rubber goods, and in other geotextile products. But even after having 12 segments created by Ministry of Textile based on the usage, with the help of the industry bodies, we are at 1.7 kg to 2 kg per capita consumption in comparison to any advanced or the developed countries, which is at 10 to 12. And in case of advanced economies like US and China, it is even up to 22 kg per. So there's a whole opportunity that I see in case of increasing, this, and that actually gives a bright spot in the technical textile, era that I think India is seeing. So I feel a bright future for, and actually the session bodes well for the, season.
Wonderful, great. So, what's interesting, I think, to the audience is to understand, normally we think textiles like what we wear and all that. So what SRF has done 50 years back is do textiles in things that you don't think are textiles. So when you have a tire, the tire has to have a tire cord, right? So that is a textile. So imagine how strong that tire cord, that fabric has to be. So that's made out of a nylon, polyester mix reinforced with rubber, which is as simple as he put it, not so simple, but that's what they do. And I'm very surprised and very appreciative of the fact that you are a global #2 in conveyor belts and things. So anybody in any of our businesses who say you're global #1, top 10 itself is highly appreciable.
We will be by year end.
My best wishes to you, and as usual, I'm sure. So that's the Indian story. That is, friends, when we go across not only Tamil Nadu, other places, we see an emergent India. Many young faces over here. Your generation will actually become leaders on a global level. Today, you're thinking in Indian level things. So one of the things of meeting these kind of eminent gentlemen over here is to also understand that it is possible to aspire to global dominance, global competitiveness, leadership, and actually get there. So that it is always better, rather than talk in abstract terms, to actually have leaders to do it. So it was great hearing you. I am going to again come back at some point, Udayji, with the Tamil Nadu story, right, which is very unique because 50 years in Tamil Nadu, that's something that I don't think many of the panels across, not textiles, in the other panels also, nobody would be able to say that. I want to talk about why Tamil Nadu, because I am from Tamil Nadu. It's a great place to be, but I want to hear your story as well. But for the time being, I'll move on. We have a young audience, and I'm sure they're wondering, Karthik, you're a first-gen entrepreneur in medtechs. You're from Tamil Nadu, son of the soil. At some point, I remember during COVID, you're among the largest producers, and I think you still continue to be the largest producer of PPE. I know you had a lot of feathers in your cap. You were the first to get certified in the US for certain stringent requirements and all those things. So I'm not going to start there. Let me start by asking, how does a Tamil Nadu young entrepreneur, because we have a lot of youngsters over here would be interested in things. So what made you come into technical textiles or into even medical garment manufacturing in a place where it might have been easier for you to manufacture T-shirts? So let me start with that.
Thank you, Doctor. Yeah, as you rightly said, I come from a conventional textile manufacturing family. So, I mean, like, God's sake, it was my passion during my UG days not to get into conventional textile market. So, right after my PG, I flew down to Manchester to pursue higher studies in technical textiles, particularly in medical textiles. So after coming back, so my product, of interest at UK was a very different product from what we are doing right now. So it was back in 2008 when I came back from a PG. Then I researched the market for any available prospective product in the technical textiles, particularly in the medical textiles market. So that was when we ventured into the market of the disposable gowns and packs used in the hospitals. Back then, the concept was very new to majority of the hospitals. So they were still using the linen. So we have to, educate the hospitals the importance of an disposable product, the importance of infection control, infection prevention, and cross-contamination. So that was quite a task back then. So, yes, for the first 2 years, it was hard work for us, so no doubt. So, gradually the market started absorbing the disposables. So then we scaled up.
So I have a follow-on question, very related to what I asked you first. Normally, getting your first customer is the most difficult thing, right? Particularly when you're a startup company. Can you just share your experience of how you got your first customer? Because second customer, you can always refer the first customer, right? But first customer, how did you get it? I'm sure everybody will be curious to know.
It is quite an amusing story. We walked down, walked into a hospital at Coimbatore. So they were into 100% reusables. So we just introduced the concept of a patient gown, disposable patient gown, wherein we said we'll give it to you less than 100 rupee, try it. So I mean, like, initially they were very apprehensive. Their initial mindset was, why should we spend 100 rupee? I mean, on a product where we invest around 500 rupees and use it for 2 years. So back then we took a study in the hospital of cross-contamination and infection prevention. So going down on one ward, so we did a study on one ward. We, did a lot of infection, studies on that. And then we, a lot of complementary products were given in. So we took a detailed study. Then, it took nearly a year for us to convert one hospital to a disposable concept back at Coimbatore. So, yeah, so it took time, about a year, for us to, educate them on infection prevention with studies and cost-benefit factors.
I appreciate what you're saying. I think this also reflects what Kamalji was saying a little earlier about when he first brought adult diapers into the thing, when there was no Indian word for the word incontinence. I can only imagine the kind of determination you have to actually drive something through. But then the advantage is you create what we call absolutely blue ocean strategies. You go into product ranges where nobody is available, and you have the first mover advantage. I think that's what many of you gentlemen have in common. So I'm going to jump back on the brand side to Ramanji. Ramanji, the world is changing. You know, we have seen global brands coming and dominating India. Great products, great brands, great values, as Sundarji was saying. But off late, because of e-commerce and platforms that have allowed the existence and growth and proliferation of Indian brands, and we see a lot of Indian brands today. I would like to know about your views of these Indian brands, how good they are, what they mean for the future, and are these people going global? I would like your views on that, please.
So I'll just step back from here, from your question. In early 70s, US was dominated by European brands. They didn't had one. And the revolution started in early 70s that we should have, should have a global brands. And today, if you see, McDonald's speaks a larger story about America than their army. McDonald's, Domino's, Microsoft, you talk about brands and they have so many. So the revolution started in early 70s. I think now what I see, Indian revolution has just started a year back. When we talk about apparel industry, Spain, which is a country of a size of a UP and a population of a Bombay and a Delhi together, has 18 global brands. And we don't have one. When we talk about apparel brand, we talk about H&M, we talk about Gap, we talk about Zara, but India doesn't have one global brand. And these brands are actually a soft power for the country, which India has like Bollywood, but nothing in any apparel category. So that revolution has started. It started from e-commerce companies which have taken Indian brands to certain parts. But what I see and what government is also looking at, Indian export is 15.4 billion, but Spain's export is 15.9 billion by just exporting brands. So that is an opportunity which Indian brands has got. I really compliment Kamalji for, you spoke about, the product, but the brand story has to go in a much highlighted way. And we have the young population, like 28 years is our average youth or a population. I think the whole aspiration of youth should be to create brands of lifestyle, whether apparel, whether jewelry, whether anything. And that is where the India future is. So that is my personal views, yeah.
Thank you. I completely agree with you. In fact, that was a very nice way of you putting it. It's a soft power of a country. It's soft power of a region. Just like how Bollywood actually today is, Bollywood music is a soft power. Our brands can be. And our brands are world class. We make for the world. We understand what it takes to create global products. It's just a question of that leap of going into the branding space. I think we need to be there. From a, Sundarji, from a H&M perspective, where do you see man-made fibers going? I mean, and let me just qualify or let me just elaborate on my question. Today, most of the t-shirts people would wear in athleisure or clothing would have a complete or a portion of man-made fibers inside them for performance. Much of the lingerie that's used by people, many of the athleisure fabrics, they all come into this category. As a global brand, as one of the largest per unit product sellers in the world, not just in India, what's your take on MMF and the future, please?
I think you're right. A lot of T-shirts, especially young people who wear these days, have some element of man-made fiber in it, right? And I think the trend is particularly accelerated post-COVID, right? Be it athleisure, because the health consciousness of a large sections of populations increased exponentially during COVID, right? And that has continued post-COVID. So there's a lot of movement on athleisure. Even H&M as a group has got many sub-brands within it. We have H&M Move, other stories, Weekend, etc., etc. And we have a premium brand called COS as well. And post-COVID, besides athleisure, sportswear, there's also a lot of outerwear, party wear, tourism has again increased. A lot of outerwear has happened. There's also workwear. And workwear people generally, prefer more of man-made fiber than, say, purely cotton-based, except in, cities like Chennai or Singapore. But other than that, I mean, especially if you look at women workwear, as more and more women participate in the work stream, there's a lot of, blended garments that go in, right? So we as a brand, I mean, as H&M, I can speak for that, we were a cotton-heavy brand. And Tamil Nadu is one state we continue to source very heavily from within India. And we've been here in India, we're actually completing 30 years in terms of sourcing. And we do see that if, that cotton emphasis alone cannot be sustainable. From a business perspective, I'm not talking about sustainability from that angle, sustainable from a business perspective. I think there is a definite requirement to move towards man-made fiber, right? And because that is where the trend is going towards. Take any brand for that matter, right? So that is one. So we need to, have variety. We need to have the technical know-how. We need to have the ability to scale up, maybe potentially joint ventures, etc. So that more and more brands can actually, source from India. And I think I will not be wrong in saying this. India is a major part of diversification strategy of brands, and definitely for H&M. And Tamil Nadu is one big component in that. And Tamil Nadu has a history of textile, that to an integrated value chain, right? And if we take MMF a little beyond what we are talking about in terms of virgin, I think a lot of emphasis has been on recycled polyester, and that too especially from the PET bottles, right? Now, I think we might have to move away from that emphasis and more towards textile to textile recycling, because that would definitely bring the cost of MMF even down, control the pollution levels. Anyway, the amount of water used by MMF, like you were saying, is lesser than what is used by cotton. So can we move towards more and more recycled polyester through textile to textile recycling? And potentially, Tamil Nadu could be a leader in that space. So that is where we as a brand aspire. I mean, in our sort of dream setting, if Tamil Nadu has that, capacity for MMF production, the variety, the scale, and also recycle component in terms of advanced technologies, then I don't think, Tamil Nadu would be stoppable anytime soon when it comes to the textile sector.
Thank you. There are people in this audience from the textile segment, and that gives a very clear direction as to where you're thinking, because as a global brand, I'm sure you have a further vision than many of us.
Finally, a small factory by then late chairman with 2,000 tons of tire cord. I think it has
Design till the product. Consciously, they are producing products which are made on a pace but are sustainable.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ravanji. Just one quick question, if at all, and quick. I'm pushing the limits here. I'm supposed to close, but one quick question.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir. This is Piyush Pandari from...
No, just tell me the question, please.
The question is that regarding the Tamil Nadu is the land of the... There are many ports over here, but I have never seen any geotextile manufacturer in the Tamil Nadu. We have to go...
Station as well. So there are people, and in expansion, Tamil Nadu government guidance is also looking at inviting them over. There have been very conscious efforts. In time, you will definitely find a Indian manufacturer. These are all multinational technology-based companies who are already based in India, who would do their expansion projects in Tamil Nadu. We have gentlemen here talking about why Tamil Nadu, right? So I'm sure that that message will go across. Right? So thank you. Thank you. Friends, with that, I will bring this session to a close because we need to be conscious in handing over on time to the next panel. I thank my fellow friends on the panel for being wonderful speakers and giving clear insights onto the topics, our keynote speaker as well, and all of you for being a wonderful audience. So I'll just hand over to the MC right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for this wonderful panel discussion. To express our gratitude for the KS, Senior Vice President and Business Head, Polyester Industrial Yarn, Technical Textiles Business, SRF.
That's very easy. Yes. Thank you.
Felicitation to Mr. Uday KS, Senior Vice President and Business Head, Polyester Industrial Yarn, Technical Textile Business. And next felicitation to Mr. Karthik Kumar Sundararaj, Director, Shiv Street Tex, India Private Limited. And next felicitation to Mr. Raman Datta, Founding Member and General Secretary, Brands and Sourcing Leaders Association. And now felicitation to Mr. Sundar Sandalnathan, Head of India Public Affairs, H&M Group. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Kamal Johari, CMD, Noble Hygiene Private Limited, onto the stage for the felicitation. Once again, thank you all for being a part of this enriching session on technical textiles and MMF, weaving a better tomorrow. Nandri, Vanakkam.
Please have lunch.
Yes, thank you.
Technology Center for AstraZeneca, and lot more contributions of Kevin, which CII and NASCOM, with this association, which the whole industry would know, and not Fatma Talk. So welcome, Kevin. And next, then the speaker for the fireside chat, I'm happy to invite Ms. Sindhu Gangadharan, the SVP and MD of SAP Labs. Sindhu has also headed the SAP User Enablement. She's also the vice chairperson of NASCOM. She serves on the boards of the organizations including Siemens and Titan Company. And she's also the steering committee into the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce, an industry body driving the bilateral trade and deliberations between India and Germany. So with this combination of experts, you're going to spark up a good fireside chat. Over to you, Kevin.
Thank you, Guhan. Thank you very much. Normally the fireside chat, it should be like this, but I have to adjust myself and try to, Welcome you all. Vanakkam Chennai. Hope you all had a nice lunch and be here. Today, the discussion for next 20-25 minutes predominantly centered around the Global Capability Centers, or GCCs. Jokingly in the lunch, we were talking about GCC. Some may think that is like Greater Chennai Corporation, right? So I thought of setting in a context of what is GCC is all about. 40 years back, the outsourcing took a great stride, we all know. And there are two concepts that are right. One is the offshoring, where they move the work to a third-party service provider. Second is the captive offshoring, where they set up their own foreign units in a foreign country. Then this captive offshoring evolved into a captive center, then became a global in-house center, and today we call that as a global capability center, the true nature of the global talent the country and the state has. Yeah, pretty short about the state. State today pretty much contributes around $7 billion to the GSDP of the state government. And we have close to 200 plus GCCs as well in the state and whatnot, 150,000 engineers, and I can list down all the great things about the state, and that's one of the reasons Tamil Nadu has been the preferred destination to set up those GCCs. Now, it's a great honor, Sindhu. You come here all the way from Bangalore, and absolutely privileged, and you've been part of the GCC community for a long time, and you're heading a fantastic organization. More than that, it is so inspiring. It's about leadership, what you're doing in the organization, inside and outside. Maybe I'll just start with asking about one personal question. Oh. Absolutely, right? So sometimes there are moments happen in the life that might have changed you to become an inspirational leader, to continue to excel in your professional journey, right? What could be that moment or the turning point in your life that has led all the way what you are today?
No, first of all, Kevin and all of you, it's really great to be here in Chennai. It's always great to be back in Chennai. And I still remember the conversation with Mr. Vishnu. This was back in October when the NASCOM EC was having our meetup here, where he said, hey, we are having this event and we need you to be there. And I'm so glad this has worked out. And today it's brilliant to see the kind of energy that's filling the whole of the morning. And Kevin, to your question on GCCs and the evolution of GCCs, really looking forward to this conversation and fireside chat. But I know you asked a very personal question in terms of turning point and what is kind of lot of turning points, I'd say, Kevin. But one thing which definitely stands out and something which has always stood for me as a point where I was when I was in the headquarters, and I spent 18 years of my career at SAP at the headquarters in Waldorf. I don't know how many of you know the headquarters of SAP, and this was around 2018, I think, no, 2017, if I remember right, where I was given the opportunity to lead the Intelligent Enterprise program for SAP, right? And why this was a turning point, I'll tell you, and something maybe for some of you to take away with you, definitely something which was relevant for me was, back then I was owning up an entire integration suite of products, and the role which I was given was to really go across and kind of drive the technology harmonization across our lines of business. And if you think through it, right, technology harmonization meant always about going into our lines of business and convincing each business owner about why the technology harmonization needed to be done. But from a personal point of view, for me, that role meant giving up everything that I stood for in terms of ownership of products and really going into as a head of product management. But in hindsight, that was the role that gave me a full overview of the complete portfolio of SAP. And back then, I did not know that come end of 2019, I'd be taking up the role of the managing director of SAP Labs in India, because in Labs India, this is the only location of SAP where we have the entire breadth of our portfolio. So things come together beautifully. You don't know that when it's happening. So I can only encourage each one of us, take those risks, jump into the fire. Sometimes you don't know what you're jumping into, but in hindsight, it always works out to your benefit. It definitely did for me.
Very well said. I think ownership is an important aspect in leadership, and technology harmonization and taking the global leadership ownership is truly inspiring, Sindhu. Move on to the GCC specifically. Now, we have seen a good wave of movement over the last decade. From your perspective, how these GCCs have evolved in the last 10 years? And what do you think some of the factors driving this GCC 4.0?
For sure, Kevin. And I think many of the conversations since morning in terms of some of the GCCs that have set up their home in India is also indicative of what I'm seeing, right, and what we're all seeing. Today, if you just look at India, there's no doubt that India is the GCC capital of the world. There's absolutely no doubt about it as we speak today, right? If you just even sheer look at the numbers, Kevin, today we are talking about a market size of over $35 billion, which is driven by the GCCs. What we contribute over more than 1% to India's GDP, and that number is only increasing as we speak, right? And also, if you just look at the sheer number of GCCs, we are talking about today more than 1,500 plus GCCs in India for the world. And we're talking about talent that is kind of fueling this kind of transformation of more than 1.38 million talent, right? So the engineering prowess that really is fueling this kind of transformation. And Kevin, to your question on how this has evolved GCCs in the last decade or so, today GCCs in India are driving large-scale business transformation for their parent organizations. Large-scale digital transformations for the parent organizations is driven from GCCs from India for the world. And we talked earlier, we heard Guhan talked about product ownership. Today we are talking about 42% of the product leadership happening out of GCCs in India, right? We're talking about IP creation that's happening from here for the world. We're talking about end-to-end product ownership. We're talking about thought leaders who are driving topics for the world from India. And a lot of things have contributed to that, Kevin. I mean, definitely the engineering prowess. If you just look at some of the sheer numbers, right? Today, the interesting combination is also the fact that the market is here, the talent is here. It's the fastest growing region for so many of our organizations as we speak. So the markets have also shifted from the west to the east as we speak today. And if you just look at the sheer numbers, right? Fastest growing economy, second largest digital economy, top 3 countries in the world when we talk about STEM talent, a fastest growing startup ecosystem. I mean, if you just look at the SaaS market opportunity that exists in the country, we are talking about $1 trillion SaaS market opportunity by 2030. That's phenomenal if you think about what is the potential in terms of tapping into that. We talked about global leadership roles. Today, we are talking about over 5,000 plus global leadership roles that is in from GCCs from India for the world. And that number is only bound to grow to 20,000 by 2030, right? And today, the GCCs in India are also being tasked to set up GCCs in other locations. And that also shows that the trust, that domain expertise, that capability building that has happened over the years. And not to forget, Kevin, the trust building is an important factor where that switch has happened completely from looking at India. If I just look 15 years back, it was purely driven from, hey, how do I look at it from a cost arbitrage? Today, that's completely gone, right? It's gone into skill arbitrage. It's gone into leadership arbitrage as we speak. So that's the kind of transformation that's happening. And if I, again, also come back to the numbers, we're talking about a growth of GCCs just in 2025, 1,900 plus GCCs, tapping into a talent pool of over 2 million as we speak, and also looking at a market size of over 60 billion. So that's the kind of growth that we are happening in this space.
That's phenomenal. I think somewhere from a 35 billion to a 60 billion in the next couple of years sounds very promising, and 1,900 GCCs. One question further on that, Sindhu, you talked about the global leadership roles and the kind of opportunity that lies. Talked about from a 5,000 to 20,000 next couple of years. We have a lot of budding GCC leaders present in the room. What would be your advice for them to scale up to that global leadership roles that GCCs may bring in this near opportunity?
Yeah, first of all, I think what is happening, Kevin, is markets are shifting, like I said, right? So earlier the markets were in the West. I mean, if I just put on my SAP hat for a minute, for us, India is one of our fastest growing markets. So it's really a unique combination for us to tap into, to have that engineering prowess coupled with the fact that the customers are right here. I was just having the conversation earlier on with Pari, whom you'll also listen to in a bit, but that whole gap between engineering and the end user, right? Earlier, we were always talking about, hey, building parts of the large products and always working with product managers sitting possibly in different parts of the world. But today, that's completely changing, right? We are talking about product managers sitting right here in India, owning big parts of the portfolio, working with customers who walk into our capability centers, trying to understand how the roadmap is evolving, influencing the roadmap as we build our products, really working with the designers, with the architects, with the engineers to really shape those products to the various industries that we support. So that's a big shift that's happening in terms of the market moving. And with that market moving, also that center of influence also moves, right? And so that's very important that when the centers of influence also moves, that connect with your end user becomes a lot more stronger and a lot more based on a very trusted relationship. That's one. Second thing, Kevin, what is also important to understand is when you're looking at getting in new talent, right, young talent, today's talent values a lot more that autonomy, values that ownership. I mean, if you're talking about getting the best talent, it's also equally important, how do you retain the best talent, right? And the only way you can retain the best talent is to really bring them into those core end-to-end product ownership roles where they feel empowered to drive the product in its entirety. The third piece, Kevin, is also today we have a phenomenal ecosystem here. It's, I mean, just coupled with the GCCs, we have a phenomenal partner ecosystem, the ISVs, the independents, the SIs, or the startups, the academia, and all of this provides a very unique mix in terms of how you leverage the strengths across all of these to your advantage, right? And that is also happening. How do you take that local ecosystem strengths and bring it into global value for your parent, but also for your end customers, which is also very, very important. And the fourth piece, not to forget, is when I talked about the fastest growing digital economy. When we're talking about leadership roles from here, understanding also consumption patterns, understanding in terms of how new technologies can be brought into different roles, right? That becomes very important. Today, 67% of the transactions here in India are digital. So you're already talking about an ecosystem which is very savvy when it comes to technology consumption. So you really have the opportunity to really bring that technology focus as well as that business focus combined. Having these in silos don't work anymore, right? And so from a global leadership roles, bringing those that financial acumen to the products that you build. How do you take it to market? How do you commercialize that? How do you work with investors? All becomes important pieces of the conversation. So it's really a mix of all of that which really and truly drives those global leadership roles. And I think we have to do even more to really build out those visionary leaders in the organization, because finally it's only with that kind of visionary leaders that can you drive that change in your organization. No?
Yep. I think brilliant. That was top 4 pillars for the next generation of leaders. But when you talk about all these success, the movement, the next evolution of GCC is happening, the GCC's growing is a bit of a challenge. There are umpteen number of challenges the GCCs face today. From your perspective, what are those challenges? So what could be those advices to the leaders to overcome those challenges?
Well, I think if you ask me, there's no better time for GCCs in India than today, right? There's really no better time. But of course, we went through, definitely, when we're talking about the great numbers, of course, it went through a lot of transformation, a lot of change, a lot of challenges. And if I look back at some of the challenges, it's very clear, right? In the past, GCCs were clearly looked at as an extended workbench, right? Typically, if I just look back 20 years, the kind of roles or the areas that were, okay, you build a product, you take it to market, now we need to operate it. Okay, let's bring the operations into India. That was a typical pattern, right? So initially, the challenges were also about how do you drive business transformation, but at the same time, also look at cost efficiency. So this was definitely a challenge that you had to work through. Earlier, some of the challenges were also, how do you look at new business models when you're talking about innovation with partners? Because many times when you're talking about co-innovation, it's also about joint IP. Now, how do you make sure that the IP is owned in the appropriate way? These were also challenges. I talked about brilliant talent that has awareness about new age technologies. Did we always have that? No, that was not the case, right? That was also about how GCCs, like many of you in the room, worked hand in hand with the government, with the academia, to really make sure that we build out that talent who come out of universities with that right skills that is needed to deliver upon the promise that we've all committed to, right? So having that right focus on skilling and having the right talent becomes super important. Or if you look at large-scale, very complex projects of offshore delivery models, different models. And not to forget, how do you bridge cultural gaps? Many times this is something that is not talked about, but that's also a very important piece of the equation. How do you build that trust? How do you get the seat at the table? How do you drive those decisions? And all that can only happen if you understand what are the cultural gaps that exist and how do you bridge those gaps. So these are some things that I would highly recommend that you keep in mind and work through. Today there are phenomenal examples of so many success stories. So I'd not recommend every new GCC to go through the similar pattern, because there are so many best practices that are shared also with NASSCOM, with Zinnov, where we are sharing all of these best practices, which really equips all of you. There's services that are available for did you call it friction-free setting up of GCCs, in the words of Pari. So there's so many things that you can build upon that were kind of aspects that had happened in the past, Kevin. But I can only tell you, today, if you just look at the sheer engineering prowess that exists in the country, or go so far away, we are right now in Tamil Nadu, and if you just look at the focus that we have here on sectors like automotive, or if you look at logistics, or if you look at heavy machinery, or if you just look into areas like construction, the power when it comes to engineering R&D is sitting right out of here. 25% of the engineering R&D for these areas come out of Chennai, right? Or if you just look at Coimbatore, we work very closely with some of the universities in Coimbatore like PSG or Amruta, and again, the talent there, phenomenal talent, right? So Coimbatore today has the highest number of ER&D talent when it comes to tier 2 cities in India. Yep. So phenomenal examples of how we have kind of work through those challenges to come to where we are today. But it's always good to keep these things in mind and work around it.
Absolutely. Also to call out the largest, India's largest research and development engineering unit is based out of Chennai, and Debashis is sitting there, Renaissance Technology Business Center, and also we have Caterpillar. These are the two largest R&D centers in the country, and they are both based out of Tamil Nadu.
I heard also Adidas is setting up their GPS here in Asia. It's the first one outside, besides China. I think it's only in Chennai again, right? Yeah.
That's true. Actually, there was a news came out a couple of days, and many more are expanding, and many more are actually setting up their new centers in the state. Now, specifically, if I just move into the SAP, right? SAP Labs.
Home turf.
Yeah. So, what kind of strategic initiatives that you are driving within the SAP Labs India that is making a lot of change in your global enterprise?
Yeah, okay. I mean, how many of you here know about SAP? Okay, quite a few. I'm very happy to see that. For Kevin, if you just look at SAP, last year was our 25 years of SAP in India, right? So we have 50 years of SAP in the world and 25 years in India. So we've come a long way in terms of a global capability center for SAP. And few facts to the table, right? Today, India is the largest R&D hub for SAP outside our headquarters. In fact, 40% of our global R&D for SAP, 40% of our global R&D workforce is sitting out of India for the world, right? And like I said earlier on as well, it's this unique combination that we have, we have the largest R&D hub combined with one of our fastest growing market regions, which makes it super exciting for us, India as a destination. And what is also very unique to India as compared to any other location of SAP, it's the only location of SAP where we have the entire breadth of our product portfolio in one location. And that becomes a very interesting opportunity for all our customers who walk into our offices pretty much every single day, because I mentioned earlier on that distance between an engineer, a product manager, an architect to the end customer is happening right here, right? So that distance. And I'm talking about global customers of SAP, right, who also have their global capability centers here, large practices driving their SAP implementations right here. So that conversations is happening every day. So for us, when we laid out our vision for SAP Labs, right, so we have hinged upon building innovations for the world centered around our people, driven by purpose and driven by the power of the ecosystem, Kevin, right? So that's key for us. And many of the initiatives that we have put into place is exactly focusing on that. Like, for example, a big part of our focus is on how do we drive customer centricity, collaboration, thought leadership, both internally as well as externally. How do we make sure that we have end-to-end product ownership? How do we drive that patents that are coming? So 25% of these teams, they have to work in unison with each other. They really look at working with it so that there's a deeper understanding of how the product is evolving, not just in the engineering minds, but also in our in our sales teams. So that combination, so that it's one way of how we get to our end customers. Or if I look at areas around how we are tapping into the ecosystem. Today, India is one of the 8 locations of SAP where we have an innovation center network. What that means is, this is where we are looking into technologies in the horizon of the next 3 to 5 years. Even if it might not have a direct impact on our product, program where we bring in startups according to various themes that we lay out every single year, and really work with those startups and build those interlock between our product experts and these startups. Of course, on one hand, the startups get access to the markets that we operate in, but on the other hand, it's a huge value add for us, because when we go to a customer, and if there are those niche areas which we don't invest in, we bring in a startup, but fully integrated into our core portfolio. Leadership building is again something that we put a lot of emphasis on, right? At various levels in the organization, mid-level, senior level, entry level, building that leadership skills, building that, like I mentioned earlier on, that business acumen combined with that strong technology acumen. So these are, I can go on and on about SAP, but I just want to say today we are 15,000 strong, present across India. As we speak, we are also setting up our second campus, which will, our target is to have even close to 15,000 additional hires if needed so, no? So that's the plan of growth.
Absolutely, that's quite impressive. One of the things, to make the moderator nervous, the organizers, what they do, suddenly they'll pop up the timer, saying that you have 5 minutes more. That kind of, puts you on the spot. But definitely, I want to give an opportunity to the wonderful audience. You guys are patiently listening to us. If you have any questions, yes, please.
Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm Dr. Damodaran, a part of Ampara Diversity, where we focus on people with disability and kind of opportunity for them. So as the global capability centers kind of get set up, there'll be some global mandates for your own companies, right? Like saying these metrics are there. For example, when you talk about people with disability, when you want to, you'll have certain metrics there globally, let's say in the US. When you set it up in India, and if you don't find enough talent, there could be challenges there, gaps, right? For example, people with disability in engineering, especially in STEM talent, right? How are you looking to address those?
I think if you know SAP, Mr. Damodaran, we are one of the most inclusive organizations. In fact, we look at people with all kinds of abilities, right? I mean, we're really looking at hiring people across the spectrum, no matter what. Finally, what matters to us is what the person brings to the table and what is the role required from the person, right? Having said that, I mean, if you just look at some of our diversity numbers, 34% of our workforce is women, just as one example. We were one of the first ones in India, if not the world, to set up an autism at work program, just to give you one more example, right? I mean, today that is a global program across SAP, but not just as SAP, at autism at work program, many of you know SAP is looked up as the leader when it comes to how did we drive this in the organization, and today other GCCs are taking it forward. So when I said our vision is centered around building innovations for the world, centered around our people, driven by purpose, I totally mean that, right? So
in broader, outside of SAP, for other companies also, what would you be your advice, or other companies that are setting it up, the challenge?
Like I said, right, it's always important that you look at the best practices that worked for the others and build upon them, because finally it's only together that we can become even more better, even more stronger, even more greater as a community. And if we all continue to operate in our silos, we'll never get there, right? So that'll be my key message. Let's really work on building upon each other's strengths, be it in disability, be it about women in leadership, be it about young entrepreneurs, whatever be it, right? I think we really have to lean on each other and make sure that we learn the best, and we don't have to go through the usual paths, right? Thank you for your question.
We love to take more questions, but it's kind of time's up. It's showing the red color to me. But, conversation's amazing, Sindhu. Definitely the conversation can continue for another hour. So much of information and very valuable to me as a moderator as well. Definitely valuable to everybody. Love listening to you. Thank you very much again coming down from Bangalore to Chennai and spending the time with us.
Thanks so much. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Sindhu. Thank you, Kevin. So thank you for fueling the economy for almost more than 2 decades. And this really gives us and creates trust for the more upcoming GCCs. I see a lot of new GCC leaders who are setting it up here, so that really helped them. So yes, with that, we're moving on to the next session. So we are going to call upon the person who has been dwelling and researching on more of the GCC reports that you have been seeing. And just to continue the momentum, I would like to make a panel, which is the most expert panel, where I would like to call Mr. Pari Nadarajan, the CEO and co-founder Zinnov, to the stage. And Pari has about 25 plus of extensive experience. He's driven the globalization and technology vision for over 250 Fortune 500 enterprises, and consulted with global private equity firms to chart the growth and the value creation strategies across their portfolio companies. Welcome you, Pari. And the next panel member is Ms. Uma Ratnam Krishnan. So, welcome Uma Ratnam Krishnan, who is the Managing Director of Optum Global Solutions India. Across her career, she has taken on global roles, ability to shape up transformation in organizations. Over last 18 years, she had several senior leadership roles in UK and India across finance and commerce sectors like Barclays, Polaris, and ABN AMRO. Welcome, Uma. And the next panel is Dr. Subramaniam Ramakrishnan. So, is the Vice President at UPS Technology Center in India. Subbu's leadership is marked by his commitment and his innovation to excellence for the Technology Center. With his career spanning over 25 plus experience in multinational corporates, a key highlight in the professional journey is the tenure as a director of IBM, where he led a significant global projects, championed quality certification processes. Happy to welcome Subbu. So the next panel member is Mr. Neeraj Sinha, who is a site lead and the head of Global Finance Services Standard Chartered of GBS with more than 30 years of experience. He also, in addition, heads a role as a Chennai site lead for the GCC leadership of NASSCOM. Welcome, Neeraj. And the next and the last panel is Mr. Debashish Niyogi, the Managing Director of Renault Nissan Technology Business Center, with about dedicated 10,000 plus strong workforce he has built from the scratch. And Debashish has worked with several automotive India leaders like Bajaj Autocase and New Holland Tractors, Tata Cummins, and the General Motors in various functions like powertrain, engineering, embedded software, CAE, and the list goes on. With about 35 years of experience, such a heavyweight profile, Debashish, happy to invite you on the stage. So, there you have a very diverse panel in front of you. So, happy to hand over the toughest job to you, Pari.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It was inspirational to hear Sindhu, as always. It was great session, and gave a very good perspective on what's happening in the GCC ecosystem. And we have some great set of leaders today with us. And let me start with introduce myself. I'm CEO of Zenov. One of the practices to help companies design their global GCCs, help them set up, manage, as well as transform those GCCs. So that's what we do for a living. And we also do work with NASSCOM very closely to drive the annual GCC report, set the goal in terms of how the GCC ecosystem should grow. GCC, like Sindhu mentioned, is not new. It's been there for a long time. In fact, the largest company came out of Chennai, the IT services company came out of Chennai, Cognizant, was in fact a GCC from Dun & Bradstreet. That's how the industry started. Look at one of the largest BPO services company, Genpact. Genpact was GE's analytics GCC, which got transformed into a services company. So the GCC ecosystem has been around for the last 20 years. So the IT service, think of IT service as the first pillar. Think of the next pillar, it's a startup ecosystem. The Flipkart founders came out of GCCs. They learned about how to work for global technology, global customers. They came out and started their own startups. There are startup accelerators which are run by companies like SAP and others where the startups learn how to understand customers. So GCC played a significant role in creating the second pillar of the Indian tech ecosystem. And GCC is what we call as the third pillar of the tech ecosystem, right? And a very important part of the overall growth of India over the last 20 years. And each of this company, we have some interesting panels. We have folks from the logistics business, from the healthcare business, from banking, from automotive. One of the interesting things happening in the GCC ecosystem is it grows when the market is good. When the market is good, everybody wants to grow their talent. They look at GCCs to grow the talent. The market is tough for the last 2 years. Even then, the technology continues to accelerate. Digital transformation continues to accelerate. Everybody wants to reduce or optimize cost. So GCC again becomes a solution for the continue to grow. So GCC in some level is recession proof, and that's what we have seen over the last several years. So what we are going to do is over the next, we have about an hour, understand about what is happening in GCC from different industries. What are some of the common thread which runs across all of these industries? And how have these leaders transformed the centers to drive significant value for their companies? And also why Tamil Nadu, why Chennai, and why other parts of Tamil Nadu? And why is it a critical part of the overall growth in GCC? So those are the areas we are going to start. And we will dive into questions. And what I want to do is start with each of you. Talk a little bit about the evolution of your center here and what does it mean for your company. Uma, we start with you, one of the largest global healthcare company.
Thank you, Pari. Delighted to be here, and it's such a great set of colleagues and peers from the industry. So Optum India is a health innovation global capability center of United Health Group, which is actually a Fortune 5 company. The mission of the company is about helping people live healthier lives and making the healthcare system work better for everyone. Now, this is an important one because everything that the GCC does is actually driven towards that, and sort of takes me back to what Sindhu was saying, right? Driven with a purpose and built with a purpose. So this was the overriding mission. So as a result of that, the work that we do, whether in the GCC or in our global teams, is really about simplifying, making transparent, making it more accessible, and making it more affordable. Everything that we do is really centered around that. From an India perspective, we've been here over 2 decades, and we've actually become scalable. We are a very important partner for the global enterprise. What we've taken advantage of is the actual operational and healthcare expertise on one side, and data and analytics and technology on the other, because as you'll see going forward, technology and healthcare is going to get more and more entwined. In India, we're in 5 locations. I'll start with the south, given we're sitting here. We're in Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Gurugram, and Noida. In Chennai, we've been here more than 15 years. I think what drives the GCC in India and what drives Optum India is 3 pillars of what is really important for our people, which is caring for our people, connecting the people to each other, right? Because again, we have a big ecosystem here, and giving them the best possible opportunities and then helping them grow together. So that's been our journey to date. Talk a little more as we go along.
So Uma, one of the things what Sindhu mentioned is about end-to-end product ownership from here. Are you focused only on technology, or are you looking at other aspects of the business?
We actually do work across the spectrum. We do healthcare operations, we do analytics, we do technology, we connect. For us, it's really about what's the end outcome. And actually, all of this technology and the operations is actually interconnected so that we get the right outcome for the consumer. And consumer and healthcare is becoming more and more at the center of everything we're trying to do. So it's about using all the levers and putting it together. So even in the India world, we look at it that way, working both globally and across the India teams to actually be more connected, both with technology, operations, analytics, and so on.
Got it. So pretty much every part of the organization has a representation here.
Yeah, but we look at it as what's the outcome.
Got it, got it. Debashish, going into you, Renault Nissan has been here in India for a long time, in Chennai for a long time, and almost co-located with the manufacturing capability, what you have, and the engineering capability. Tell us a little bit about the evolution of the organization.
So first of all, good afternoon to all of you, and really honored to be in the august company of industry captains, especially on GCC side. So 2008, so we are completing 15 years of existence. And this
Congratulations.
Year, thank you very much. And this year we crossed 10,000 workforce landmark. So in 10,000, we have close to 5,000 people working on core automotive technologies, both for local and global market. And then the remaining 5,000 is split into technology, ISIT, and global business services. Close to 1 in 2 persons are dealing with deep tech technologies like AI, ML, AR, VR, data, cloud migration. And on engineering side, we are responsible for the local market, So you have iconic cars like Quid, Kiger, Triber, Magnite, made in India. And we worked completely in our center to put these cars on the road. And we are also working on global products, supporting global centers for cars which will be launched in Japan, Europe, and North America. So we are very much a technology company and a product company. Today, as we stand, we are one of the biggest centers outside Japan and France for technical capabilities. And we are pan-India. We have centers in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and our mother center is Chennai, of course, from where we began.
Great, great story. And 10 years ago, I was talking to one of our German customers, it's in the telecom industry, and asked him, when do you think India will be able to do an end-to-end car very similar to the German quality? And his answer was never. And now you are saying that you're able to deliver end-to-end cars completely from here. Amazing. Going into Neeraj, and you're from a different industry, you have a lot of technology, digital banking, crypto, and a lot of new technology adoption happening in banking. And tell us a little bit about Standard Charter's evolution in India.
Thank you, Pari, and good afternoon, everyone. So, Standard Chartered probably has been one of the oldest and probably at this point the largest GCC across in Tamil Nadu and Chennai. If I go back slightly into history, we established ourselves in 2000. At that point in time, the headcount was about 700. We started off with very basic operations.
You started in 2000. Optum, when was Optum started?
2001.
Okay,
Yeah.
just
maybe
by an year.
Just by a year. So, yes, so we started with about 700 people with very basic finance, operations and technology processes, things which could easily be migrated at that point in time. Since then, we have grown quite substantially. At this point in time, we are spread across about 5 countries, but still quite heavily skewed towards India from a delivery and a headcount perspective. So we have about 27,000 people in India right now, of which 17,000 are in Chennai, another 10,000 in Bangalore. Now, from a spread of work which we are doing at this point, a large part of it, as you're rightly calling out, sits under technology. So most of the technology that we are also into various function supports. So entire finance structure sits here. The entire human resources back office sits here. Cybersecurity, global risk teams, all of them are actually housed within the GCCs. So from that perspective, I think as I look back in the journey, I think we pretty much, I would say, are one of the pioneers here, but also in a lot of ways representative of how the GCCs have actually grown over the period of time. But the next set, obviously, which we are again looking forward to is by 2025, we are looking at consolidating all our Chennai operations into a single location in DLF downtown Taramani, which will house about 740,000 square feet of futuristic campus, I would say. Looking very heavily into people-centric or people-focused structure, which will look after people's wellness, which will look after productivity, which will look after a lot more of employee engagement, but a lot more of state-of-the-art setup which we're looking at. Coincidentally, that also then, in the entire scheme of things, becomes the largest office for us in the entire Standard Chartered Bank globally. So quite a few things to look forward to.
The largest single facility for Standard Chartered anywhere in the world is in Chennai.
Yes, it
Wow,
will be
okay.
at that point in time in 2025.
Great. And so we have 2000, 2001, 2008, 2023. Go ahead, Subbu.
Okay, before that, let me ask the way Sindhu asked, how many of you know UPS? Okay, that's really heartening because when I told my mom, I was with IBM for about 26 years.
You might want to ask them to know the full form.
Yeah, yeah, I'm coming to that. So when I told my mom I'm joining UPS, she was very thrilled, okay, and she was very happy, and she said, finally someone in-house who can fix our UPS. Okay, so that was the reaction. So I have this challenge in explaining to somebody, you know, what UPS does. It's United Parcel Service, a 116-year-old company. just to give an order of magnitude, the size of our functions, we move about 20 million packages every day. That's about 6 billion packages a year, about 600 flights anytime, every day flying out. By airlines, we are the 7th largest airlines, okay? With 150,000 trucks out there. In terms of value of the goods that we move 2% of the world's GDP every day, right? So you can imagine the impact that this logistics operation has. But while these are the economic and the business impact, at the heart of it, what moves the packages around is the technology, right? So that's where, the technology center comes in, and we are the newest kid in the block. So what I'm amazed is at the pace at which, while we say it's a 116-year-old company, the pace at which we move. We took this decision sometime in the 4th quarter of 2022, right? And then in March, we went and announced saying we are going to start this. And guess what? August 28th, our Founders Day, we started. And I'm pleased to say in 4 months, we are 300 plus folks. And if all goes good, we should be 1,000 plus by the next Founders Day. So that's the pace at which we are planning. And thanks to the abundant talent that's out there and the ecosystem that's out there. So that's what we do in UPS.
And why Chennai?
That's a good question. So why Chennai? One, I am from Chennai, but I had nothing to do with this decision. Okay, I had nothing to do with this decision. The decision was taken and then I moved in. But one of the things is the diverse talent that we have, it's not that we are just assembling a team of techies out here. So we need people who understand warehouse management, people who understand inventory, people from manufacturing background and all of that, right? So you have a diverse talent pool that's out here, which brings in both the domain and the technology here. So that's one of the thing. And the other thing, as I obviously said, thanks to guidance, I'm not saying because I'm here, but we were able to move things pretty fast. In 3 months, we were able to get the ground breaking and start our operations. So the speed at which, we are able to execute things and some of the incentives as well, for skilling as well as, it's an R&D center that we have set up. The interesting thing is it's not just the techies, we are moving in the business functions as well along so that, it's easier, to the point that you mentioned, we can infuse technology easier when we had the business folks like the marketing and the finance all sitting in the same floor. And we are also moving in engineering capabilities into the center. So that's where the diverse talent pool is making the location very attractive.
And the talent you hired till now, you were able to find those talent locally in Tamil Nadu?
Yes, we are able to. And what we are also doing is we are tapping into, in fact, day one when we started the company, we said we gave internship letters as well, right? So we didn't have enough of the senior talent and all of them in-house, but we said it's our commitment that, we partnered with the Non-Mudalvan program that's run by the state. And, we on the stage of inauguration when we had the Honorable CM, we gave internship offer letters as well, and those guys are working with us. So what we are doing is we are working with some of the universities, trying to build in that logistics domain and the technology domain that we would need and bringing them. The other interesting thing also we quickly did, within 3 months is the returnship program. We could see quite a few people, who want to come back. We named it Palam Bridge, to get them back to the career. And of course, we have a lot of senior talent that we have brought in from the state.
Yeah, so very, very interesting to always hear about the new. And you're also, seems like what Sindhu mentioned, learning from the best practice of what others have done and able to accelerate.
You learn from your customer or competition. So just.
Absolutely. And Uma, you talked about the diverse type of work and or what you're looking at is that really deliver the outcome for the company. If you have to distill the impact you're able to create to the headquarters, to the companies, what are the impact the GCC able to create over the last 20 years?
That's a lot of question, but I'll try and give you a headline. So before I get off, I think just wanted to add a comment to what Subbu said, which is, I think this is one group, the GCC group, which is actually very open, interactive, and learns from each other. And I think all of us have benefited from this. And I hope that continues to grow given the growth that we're going to see. I mean, Sindhu talked about 60 billion. There's things saying we're going to become 110 billion by 2030. So all of that needs a lot of collaboration, and I hope it stays that way. So coming back to the whole what Optum in India has done and delivered and the big impacts, right? So we've gone through the same journey of GCC 1.0, 2.0, 4.0, right? Now, clearly started as labor skill arbitrage, then went into, okay, you can deliver at scale, so that's great. So here are some other things that you can do. And then got into the whole bit around ownership and product development and all of those good things. And clearly, our objective is to get to a stage where a lot of the innovation, and there is a lot going on in the healthcare space, and I'll come to that in a minute, where we can be an integral part of that. The way we look at it is we want to kind of co-pilot with mothership or the global enterprise, some of these key areas. And let me just point out 4 key areas which we think how we've added value, and I'll take a few examples of that. So the first one's really about consumer centricity. I spoke about the fact that the consumer has become really important in healthcare. The patient as consumer has become really important to in healthcare. And therefore, how we actually think about the outcome for that consumer is really, really important. So one of the things that we are doing is making sure we get perspectives across the entire ecosystem for healthcare and make sure our people understand what that means. So how does a person feel? Do they have dread when they have to when they have a health setback? What is it that really needs to be done for them? So whether it's, we can talk about process improvement, business process getting better, but the outcome eventually, how does it feel to the person who's going either to the healthcare provider or getting an insurance approved? How does that experience feel? So I think one of the things that we're front and center of what we've done is putting, even with our teams here, putting that consumer at the center of everything we do. And there are a few ways in which we do it, right? The second thing is really expanding digital horizons. I spoke about it briefly. A lot of the work we do, we collaborate with both our business stakeholders globally, the consumer, as well between the technology teams, product teams, operations teams, to actually use digital. Now, and let me say, at Optum, I think doing digital is not just about one more app, right? Because you get so many apps, and that's not what you want. It's really about how can we connect all of the key players in the system, which is the insurance payer, the healthcare provider, the patient, the clinicians who are actually prescribing medicines who are not part of big healthcare systems, eventually, so that process gets seamless. So that's really our sort of vision for how we want to move digitally from a healthcare space. And that is going to really need us to use all the capability that we have in the India team, or indeed anywhere in the global team, but significantly in India. The third bit I'll talk about is specific talent, right? So a lot of us are speaking about talent. But I think what we sometimes probably don't use to the fullest extent is some of the domain expertise that this talent can bring to the table. Healthcare in particular, we've used healthcare capability, but it's about nurturing this talent and doing the best we can to actually build.
Healthcare in India is different from healthcare in the US, so how does the domain translate?
Yeah. So the domain is different, the processes are different. But I think what we do is really help that talent understand the healthcare ecosystem. And we do it by a million different ways, myriad ways, including virtual. So we have one of our most recent training curriculums where we get our people to spend half a day virtually with 80 to 85-year-olds. I mean, we can't imagine how the life of an 80 and 85-year-old would be unless you actually see them in action. You don't know what empathy that they need. You don't know how you're going to actually interact with them. So the biggest thing for us with talent is we are an always learning on company. And that's really important for us because it's evolving very quickly as well. Right? So
one of the skill you're looking for is curiosity, I guess, so the talent you're looking for.
Completely. Not just curiosity, this real hunger to learn. And we do it, and we, in fact, have gamified a lot of our training because of the fact that, we do mock sessions. We actually have also simulated some clinical review sessions. So in the insurance business, there is, people who review whether it's a fraudulent claim or it's a wasted claim or abused claim, whatever. And we have clinical people who review this. How do they understand how a clinician on the other side can actually do this? So we've actually got simulated clinical reviews. So So this whole thing about outcome for the patient as consumer, and therefore, using our technology, particularly in the GCCs, collaborating. And the whole thing is about, and we spoke a lot about global leadership, right? Product ownership. I think one of the things for us in the healthcare space, yes, you can drive products, but I think we are so particular that we will work as a global team, right? Because that's what brings out the best for the end consumer in the healthcare space.
Got it. Thank you, Uma. And to Debashis, one of the things, all of the others in this room, their headquarters are in English-speaking country, and US in 2 different countries, in Japan as well as France. And how is it to work for a globally distributed company, first of all, and the kind of impact you have been able to create in industry and automotive? We talk about software all the time, right? Indian tech industry is included as full stack developers. But you talked about material science, automotive engineering. How are you able to create impact to your headquarters?
So very good question, because in our center, we are working for 3 global car companies. One is Nissan, headquarters in Japan, Renault, headquarters in France, and Mitsubishi have started working, as Mitsubishi has collaboration with Renault and Nissan. So as Sindhu said, for leaders and for people, we should have, of course, the analytical quotient, the emotional quotient, all goes hand in hand. But cultural quotient is very important to work across geographies. And some of our work is global in nature. So we are interacting with teams across the world. And we are working in different time zones. So basically, we are a part of the extended team. So it's very important that we are able to work across cultures. And that's where that is a skill in itself, which one has to imbibe in order to work cross-functionally. Now, coming to the evolution which we face. Initially, in 2008, we were responsible for our local market. Adaptations to the local market, meeting the customer requirements of India. As we went along, we started making products tailor-made for India. So that's how the Quid, the Kiger, and Triber came into picture, where we could do complete end-to-end development, right from concept till production for the Indian market. Of course, getting supported with the corporate. Looking at the successful launch of these cars and how the market accepted it, we started doing global activities. That's how the trust started developing.
So you're not set up as a GCC in some level. You set up for supporting the local market and then became
then we scaled up our capabilities, our skills, our ability to do complete product development. And that's now, today, I'm very proud that our engineers are working on the cars, which will be launched in Europe and Japan in 2025 and 26. With one of the latest technologies like electrification, connected cars, services in the car, So that's how has been our journey. Very important as a GCC center is that we should be able to scale up, but also skill up. That's first success condition. Second is, we get work in India, we should not forget that we are competitive. In the end, we are able to develop the car or any product almost at half the cost. So we need to keep the competitiveness. That means we have to be efficient. We have to use technology, and we have to use all our means to be productive year on year and keep on improving our performance so that we are able to give productivity year on year to offset the inflation. So competitiveness is key. Good quality output at the right time is very key. These are the basics. If you don't do this, the trust will not get developed. Then, of course, then comes the technology part. Car is the internet on wheels, as we say, or software on wheels. So, of course, India is known for ISIT, so we are also playing a big role in putting all the software technologies in the cars, the connectivity in the cars. So that's where our value addition has started coming in, that we are doing much more than just conceiving a car. We are putting technologies in the car, and we are like a campus. So the software engineer and the mechanical engineer, the electrical, electronic engineer are all working together to put the technologies on the car. And that too in an extended way, working with global teams. That's how we are working.
So as you have mechanical, embedded, software engineer all together.
It's like, we call it in the French term called as plateau. Plateau means it's like a team where all the domain specialists are working along with the project leaders in order to conceive the product. And then we work with global teams hand in hand. So it's like a project plateau with having teams in India and in France or Japan, all working as one team to conceive a global product.
Yeah,
So that's very important,
very
to work as a
interesting.
team and have the cultural quotient.
And some of these technologies are very new, right? If you look at advanced driver assistance, if you look at AI coming in, how is that? How are you able to build the trust for the headquarters to give those kind of core work to the center here?
Actually, we work on very in-depth skilling up programs. And of course, we also develop local technical leaders. That means we have a trainer for the trainers. So the person is sent abroad, he or she understands the technology, works hand-on a project in our corporate centers. Then once he comes back, around that person will build the team. That's how we master domain by domain, technology by technology.
The movement of talent between the locations is very critical.
Exactly. And then, of course, we have the young talents coming from the colleges. So we are working very closely with academia to have industry-specific curricula. For example, electrification is a big thing happening in India. So how we can have electrification modules in the 3rd year and 4th year of the curriculum? Or can we have EV mobility as an MTech course so that we can get postgraduates? So a lot needs to be done in terms of intake of talent as well as existing talent, how we skill up.
Yeah, it's great to see the GCC ecosystem actively working with the academia and developing the talent in the local ecosystem in Tamil Nadu. Thanks, Devashish. So Neeraj, going into your impact, and if you look at where the startups are creating a major challenge for the large companies, is really in banking, right? Pretty much in any area, there's a new fintech company with crypto and Bitcoin coming in. It's also disrupting a traditional fiat-based currency. So many major disruption happening. And what is the role of GCC in enabling Standard Chartered navigate some of the challenges?
Okay, that's going to take a lot of time for me to answer, but I'll try it.
You have like 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. So see, in a banking sector, disruption is going to be the way of life. I don't think we can see it any other way. That being said, I think the way the startups, especially the fintechs we keep comparing ourselves with, probably have a different landscape in which they're operating, because they're still less governed compared to banks for all practical purposes. And therefore, the arena in which they would actually operate would be slightly different. So at this point, I think the one thing which I'm actually sensing and seeing a lot, even for us, is the kind of collaboration we are actually working with in terms of banks and the fintech organizations, rather than competing with them, right? And I think that probably is a scenario which is actually coming up time and again for us. For the same reason which I said, I mean, the areas of operation seem to be slightly different. Now, that being said, in terms of the actual contribution of what we are also seeing back with our respective larger organizations, or HQ as you called it, there is a lot of things which are actually happened and built up locally here for us, right? So the entire innovation hub, for example, sits here with us. The innovation hub, I can give you 2 extreme examples. If I'm looking at my client base, because of the scale at which we have, a very large component of the data sits here, which means that we have the ability to analyze what's going on behind the scenes for markets, for retail customers, and so on and so forth. In that scenario, we do figure out very quickly what are the areas which are, through sheer analytics, what are the areas which are not working for the clients, even before sometimes the customers actually come back and tell us, right? And those are the areas where we actually keep working on evolving. Simple things like automation of loan fulfillment for us, or let's say return of documents for partial payments of collateral securities, in terms of revising rate of interest in certain cases. All these things, debit card or credit card sort of issuance, all of these have actually become automated for a large part for us. And these by itself, when we talk about competition, we have reduced this internally in terms of scale from something like at about turnaround time for anything from 5 to 7 days into a matter of minutes, right? 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes is what we take as a turnaround time for a lot of these scenarios. So on one side, when we talk about in-house automation, that's one extreme. The second is what we are actually doing for our own employees, right? And we encourage like a lot of thought leadership around that as well. Again, a very simple, very different scale of example. You can imagine for about 27,000 people locally, the kind of, let's say, IT accessories we would actually dispense, right? It's a huge mammoth exercise, a huge sort of effort behind the scenes which it takes. Our own workforce and enablement team sort of came up with the idea, and the local IT team came up with the idea that why don't we sort of build up a normal dispensing machine for a lot of these things. And suddenly we realized that we had a lot of dispensers across the bank, not just here, but because we got it done here and it actually worked.
So some of the process improvements you are doing here now become a global standard process for the company.
Correct. And they are being replicated across in Singapore, UK, and so on and so forth. Small things, but it actually sort of acts as a sandbox for sort of small testing here, even for small markets in a lot of cases, which then gets rolled out for larger scenarios. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is that when I look at our evolution, we have 13 plus bank-wide, pan-bank centers of excellence sitting right here in the hub, right? And that sort of practically controls everything which we are doing across the globe for the entire bank.
These are global centers of excellence in technology or process.
Correct. So they're sitting here, but they are actually sort of monitoring the entire global, or they take charge of the entire global requirements. Similarly, when we talk about, let's say, capabilities, right? We are talking about a lot of housing a lot of, let's say, the analytic capabilities, cybersecurity capabilities, risk management capabilities. So there are a lot of these things which are actually coming up time and again, which tells us that the evolution or the sort of presence which we have made or an impact which we are making in joint collaboration with the larger bank, that's actually quite high at this point.
Yes, thank you. So it's very interesting, like all of you talked about impact and nobody talked about cost saving. Everybody talked about patient impact, customer, new innovation arbitrage, leadership, getting a car in the market, learning domains, building a car for different markets. It's impressive that just in a very short period, if you asked this question 10 years ago, people would say the results would be, oh, I'm saving $20 million for the company, $50 million for the company. But that was not even in your in the narrative.
Probably there's a reason for it, because I think if you look at the GCC landscape, two factors I believe now have become hygiene, right? Cost and service. I don't think you can actually compromise them in any shape or form, and that becomes the base or the platform on which the other things are built up.
That's the advantage, foundational advantage you have, and you build on top of that.
Correct. So those, I mean, for all practical purposes, are considered as hygiene factors for us.
Got it. Yeah. So Subbu, based on you heard from all of them, you are the baby of this block. Yeah. So what are you going to do different? What's your ambition in terms of type of work you're going to do?
So probably I'll go back to, we are called GCC, right? I don't know, before this we were called GIC. And prior to that, captives. I don't know what we will be called a couple of years from now. So it also shows the continuum of the whole evolution. But I like the way we changed from GIC to GCC, at least in the IT space. When you see the evolution of companies before they set up their own captives, they have already tested waters with other service providers, right? So they know that it works offshore, it works remote, it can be done, and then they want to set up their own shop, right? So that's how the evolution happens. So when that evolution happens, if we keep calling this as in-house capability, then there is always a comparison. Oh, I could have outsourced, but I could also insource, right? So the GIC
comparison to a tech services company.
Exactly. Okay. So at least in the tech space, the comparison always happens that, okay, this is another alternative to the outsourcing operations, right? But that's not. So what we have consciously done is we are naming ourselves as UPS Technology Center, period. It's a technology center. There is a technology center in US, there is a technology center in Europe, there is a technology center in
What is the
India.
unit of all of this called together?
UTG, UPS Technology Group.
Okay.
So the UPS Technology Group has 3 technology centers, because if we keep driving this, that this is GCC, this is something different. No, this is not something different. So this is as good as whatever happens anywhere else.
Day one, you're setting it up as very similar. Okay,
yes.
Perfect. Yeah.
So that's one of the things. And the second thing, there is always a positive thing in anything that happens, right? Good or bad. So the pandemic happened, right? So the good thing about this pandemic is, at least in the tech sector, whatever hitherto jobs we thought could be done only sitting closer to the client, right? Be it the design or the product managers and all of those, anyway, they are remote. even in US.
So everyone is equidistant from everybody else.
Yes. So that way, it has really accelerated moving of roles here. So pretty much, it's blurring, and what we are consciously doing is, with this all this agile development and all of that, single planning interval across these centers that we are running. So pretty much, when we have standardized the roles, when we have standardized the expectation of what to, get from that specific role or pay grade or whatever, it's a standard team that I can assemble from any of the tech center and still deliver. And in the process, what has happened is, effectively, my development window has gone up to 17 to 18 hours a day. Right? Literally, I could span 6 days a week because these are 3 distinct time zones. So playing the time zone advantage.
We have spent about 45 minutes. We have not used the word GenAI, so I have to ask you that. So how is GenAI helping in the global distributed development? Is it making it easier to transition work?
It's making it easier, but it's a little too early for me to comment. But we have started something on GenAI, as well as some of the automation, what we call as the network of future, where we try to bring in a lot of automation on our smart package and smart facilities. It's in the cards.
Great. And the other question I want to just start with, Uma, is you talked about patient experience, customer experience, and the patient experience is very different in the US versus here, right? And how do you ensure your talent is able to understand the customer deeply? And without understanding customer deeply, it's very difficult to create global roles, global impact. What is the process? Are there things which work, things that's not worked for you?
Yeah, I touched on a couple of them earlier, but I think we simply follow 3 things, right? The first one is, can we make sure that our people really understand what the consumer is going through and wanting, right? And we do it in different ways, whether we listen to conversations with the customer, simulations with clinicians, virtual spending time, all of those things. The second thing is, and that's a continuous process because things change, right? So we keep making sure that they actually are updated. It's always on learning. It's different types of learning. So we keep sort of reinventing the way we get them to experience the US healthcare consumer in different ways. And then, of course, there's all the standard training. So training is one sort of big block, right? The second one is really important, is the fact that we have a very strong, so because the business has a very widespread, it has healthcare providers, it has consumers, it has small clinics giving, there are pharmacies, there's a very, very big ecosystem. So we make sure that there is collaboration between the teams sitting in India and our global teams, whether they're product people, whether they're clinicians on the road. So we just make sure that they work very closely, whether it's conversations, and we actually still do quite a lot of physical visits. I know a lot of stuff is remote now, but this is one of the reasons we still do a lot of physical interaction with folks coming in from our different parts of the business as well as here. And the last one I'll say, and this is also one of the reasons why, in Chennai, we have a presence which we're looking to deepen and grow, is because we have a huge wealth of talent that's sitting in the non-engineering space. I know every role is about technology and engineering and all of that, but we shouldn't forget that we have arts and science graduates. And most of these science graduates, whether they come from pharmacy, biochemistry, biology, chemistry, whatever, and sometimes some clinical courses as well, not real full doctors, who have a really good understanding of who the body, what the body is and what the conditions are. So if you actually use that talent and leverage the talent for the domain expertise and then build on top of that, with the training and then the US healthcare system, that we find gives us a good competitive position.
Yeah, if you can understand the US healthcare system sitting in Chennai, you can understand anything else.
I agree. It's complicated, it's complex, but yeah, we're finding some really important and interesting niche skills which we believe we can develop. And going back, again, that's one of the areas we want to work with the government, with the academic institutions and training institutes to kick off some of the niche skill development in the medical area. where we can also demonstrate to people that healthcare careers are not just in hospitals.
So we're getting into, we have a few more minutes, and Debashish, you've been in Chennai, Tamil Nadu ecosystem for a lot of time, right? What are some of the advantages of the Tamil Nadu GCC overall ecosystem, and what does it mean for GCCs?
I think, needless to say, Chennai is known as the Detroit of the East. So already there was a big heritage of automotive talent, whether you call about OEMs like Renault, Nissan, Hyundai, Ford, but also the suppliers, the component suppliers, where the three major hubs in India, Chennai is one of them. But also the academic institutions, as we said, 150,000 engineers coming out every year from Chennai. So I think first is the readily availability of skills, the ecosystem of the suppliers who are providing the parts, systems, and technologies to the car. And the third is basically the innovative ecosystem which exists. One of the beautiful examples is IIT Research Park, where Renault Nissan has a research lab right inside the campus for advanced material studies of batteries. So the ecosystem is there. And
so that's very unique to Tamil Nadu. I don't see other cities have such level of capability, innovation capability.
Yes, so I think there are other automotive companies like Daimler has recently opened a center inside the IIT Chennai campus. And of late, the ecosystem of startups. Also in automotive, it is very interesting to make prototypes, test the prototypes. We should have proving ground. So we have Global Automotive Research Center right in Chennai. We have the beautiful ecosystem of Coimbatore for prototype parts. And we have, so it gives a complete ecosystem to thrive the automotive development in the city. Right from availability of skills to making prototypes, testing prototypes, as well as the startup ecosystem which we have, and the innovation culture which are there. And one of the most demanding automotive customers are from Chennai. Most demanding. They will like to have everything in the car. And they are very knowledgeable about cars. So I think we have the customer base which is very knowledgeable also. So all in all, I think we have a beautiful setup here. Of course, we had to go to Hyderabad and Bangalore for specific talents on digital side or software side. But if you talk about the key center for us, Chennai will continue to be the key center for us.
Yeah, I think the kind of capability you build, I'm pretty sure BMW or Volkswagen and others would also want to come here. And Neeraj, you are convinced your team to build the largest facility in Chennai in the world for Standard Chartered. So what are the advantages the company was able to see that they said, okay, let's go do this?
Okay, I think adding on to what Debashish actually mentioned, one of the things which we I think very quickly forget is that Tamil Nadu probably was one of the first states which formulated the policies for IT and ITAS, right? So I think from that, if you look at it from that lens, it's actually quite evolved infrastructurally and quite evolved in the way they've actually set up the entire ecosystem around it, right? So I think that's a big advantage for the state to begin with because we had an early start. Now, if I add on a few other things, infrastructure-wise, especially if I look at power backups, if I look at IT, telecommunications, it's a very strong infrastructure here. If I look at the skill resourcing, lot of cross skills which we are looking for exist here. But I think one of my sort of major reasons why we have actually sort of made sure that Chennai was actually still or continues to exist here is the attitude of the people, right? I mean, I just find that the stickiness by an employee to a job is actually very high here. I mean, I just find that the attrition levels are much lower here compared to some of the other states.
Okay, so the culture itself helps.
Yeah.
And Subbu, coming to you, one thing Uma mentioned about the vibrant GCC community here, who are helping each other, collaborating each other. How did you leverage as a new center? How are you leveraging that community?
So one is, of course, Guhan is right here, from NASCOM, who connects me. And, the way I could convince my management as well as they said, will you get logistics domain? I said, you get into my building, you step out of a floor, you will see expeditors. couple of floors later, you will see, Maersk, and then 2 more floors later, you will see UPS, right? So all of these logistics guys are in the same building, so it's not that difficult to get the talent, per se. So the way, we are connected, and we help each other. We share
NASCOM plays a role in connecting.
In connecting us, right? So and all those round tables and all that happens, that really helps.
Okay. Well, how are the other ways you are able to leverage the best practice from others? Other areas you thought you didn't think about it before, and now that you're here, I'm asking this question largely for new companies thinking about setting up GCC in Tamil Nadu. How can they leverage the ecosystem here to get started quickly?
So I think, there are quite a few best practices that we see in the companies, right? So one of the things I'll tell you, one big rallying cry in UPS is "You belong at UPS," which is all about, diversity, equity, and inclusivity, and all of that. Without doing anything, okay, today we are 30% women workforce at work, okay? That's thanks to the huge gender neutral pool that comes out of the state. Every year you have, 4.5 lakh men and 4.5 lakh women graduating, right? So you need not do anything artificial, to be representative and all of that, right? So there is a natural population that is out there. So if you just do the right selection, you get there, right? So I leverage on some of the programs that already, programs are.
So others have done development of that program, and
Yes.
that you're able to leverage it.
So that's how it happens.
Great, and thank you, Subbu. We have about 5 minutes. We can open up for Q&A. Hi. Yeah, let's not make an assumption for people there, so you can maybe wait. Yeah.
Great session. Thanks, Barry. You've been part of this GIC captive, right, from a decade. You've been doing research. You're the go-to person for most of the captives in India. Tell us for Tamil Nadu, where are we? And you pulled out some points where we are, but then what we should be doing as a state to...
I think one of the things is these stories are not heard more. We have to have these stories out more often. And that itself will help more companies to come here, I think.
Where are we as a state in terms of GIC population, GCC population?
It's, I think it's I would say the third, probably the largest ecosystem, and one of the fastest growing GCC ecosystem in India. And we have seen that, at least in the last 1 year, there is a lot more focus on companies. When they'll evaluate GCC, they look at Chennai as one of the locations they want to evaluate. And more like what UPS has decided, we are sure that more companies will come in here over the next couple of years.
Spari, can I just add one thing to that? So I think Tamil Nadu and Chennai has a natural affiliation for automotive engineering, all of those, right? And then some financial services. I think with some of the stories, as he was saying, going out, it is definitely emerging as one of the more preferred centers for healthcare and medtech, in addition to Bangalore and Hyderabad. So, right, so it's a combination of, and then of course followed by NCR and Bombay and all of that. So I think there's opportunity there. So, but I would agree with him that the story needs to be told more.
Just I want to add one thing to gentleman's question. More than marketing what are the good things we are doing, also please market the policies which you have launched, because sometimes the awareness of policies are not there. So if the policies, the incentives which are there are made more open and accessible, it will help us. So we are a little bit in that discovery stage. So it will go a long way to promote more GCC in Tamil Nadu.
So I have one very fundamental question on GCCs. We know that that last few years it is exploding. The growth is enormous. It's happening very well. There's a lot of job creation. It's happening. On the other hand, students going abroad, the number is exploding, right? Every year we see people going to US, Canada, Australia, UK, and various other emerging economies and doing various courses in data sciences. And the guys, those who are top brass, hardly they come back. They stay over there, right? And they're absorbed in high-end jobs and all, right? So what is your view? Basically, the jobs which are, I know in last 1 or 2 years or 3 years or maybe 5 years, there's high-end jobs are also coming under GCC fold over here. But vis-a-vis you compare to emerged economies, there it's still very low. What's your view on that? Because what we are doing over here is a job which is maybe a...
Yeah, so thank you for the question. So I'll give you one quick anecdote and then you can have others talk about it. One of our customers, when they go to IITs, they give them offer both for US and India simultaneously. And more than 50% of the students choose to take the India GCC offer than the US offer. And the number continues to increase every year.
No, yeah,
The
that I
talent
agree.
is, yeah, talent is seeing a lot more opportunity here, but anybody else?
Yeah, so see, the numbers could indicate that, right? And it's also a question of the job profiles of what one is looking at. I'll give you my own example in Standard Chartered Bank. Every time there is a new batch which actually comes in, I address them directly. And one of my favorite questions is, how many of you have actually worked with Standard Chartered Bank before and are returning back? Very surprisingly, at an average, I get 20-25% hands raised every single batch which comes in back, right? So there is obviously that attraction factor which is there. But if I look at this parallelly in terms of the kind of jobs which is existing overseas versus here, sector to sector that will differ. Even for banking, a lot of people are actually trying to come back into the GCCs. Our own existing staff are actually looking for opportunities to come back. So if I look at my own bank, I think there is a very clear trend which actually gets established there. But like I said, sector to sector, it will differ because the kind of opportunities which will exist will be quite varied.
So do you have, Subbu, any plan on return to India type of program for your talent in UPS?
We do have. I mean, if somebody is interested and who they want to move in, we do support. And it's a little early for us, but we are planning for some of those.
All right. Thank you, everyone. It was great talking to all of you. I have learned quite a bit from each of you on what you're doing, what is possible from the Tamil Nadu GCC ecosystem. I'm pretty sure more and more companies will consider and set up the GCCs and drive global roles, global impact, global innovation from Tamil Nadu. Thank you.
Thank you, Pari.
Thank you so much. And certainly we'll ensure we'll tell the story of Tamil Nadu GCC's Pari. And I request the delegates to stay on the stage to just collect some mementos. So just as a token of appreciation, may I request Mr. Madhusudanan, IAS, to honor the speakers for today, starting with, yes. Starting with Pari Natarajan. Thank you so much for moderating this great session. And then Ms. Uma Ratnam. And then next to Mrs. Subramanian Ramakrishnan. And then Neeraj Sinha. Debashish Nayogi. And request Sindhu Gangadharan also to be honored with a memento. And Mr. Kevin George. Probably a good group picture with all of the panel of the GCC leaders. Thank you so much. And we'll go for a group picture. And this one frame gives in the confidence of all the GCCs who are trying to set up. Be it the newest or the eldest kid on the block, no one seems to be the kids anymore. By the kind of volume and the scale, the value that they're all creating, they're all stalwarts. So thank you so much. And thanks for the peer positivity which Subbu talked about. And we'll ensure to tell the story loud enough about the Tamil Nadu GCCs. And thanks for joining the session. So look forward to your interest across all the conference. Have a great evening. Thank you.